Hello and welcome to Julie Hall Designs. Today I'm going to show you how we take a basic vertical zippered pouch and we are going to turn it into this fantastic convention pouch. This pouch has, of course, your basic zippered top. We have a vinyl front where you can put your exhibitor pass in, and on the back I've put an extra pocket so that I can store all the things that I need when I'm teaching a class. I've also used side anchor straps and key fob hardware to make this a comfortable wearing experience and long wearing experience. So let's come and have a look at what we need to get started on this fantastic You Do You project. The first thing we're going to do is prep our design. So you can see here I've got my digitizer software and I'm going to come through and open up where my pouch is stored, and I'm going to use the 140 by 200 size pouch today. Now quite honestly, either the 130 by 180 or the 140 by 200 would be perfect for this project. It really is whatever suits you. And I've got my pouch here. I am using the vertical size 3 zip pouch, and all I'm going to do is come through and insert my design, which is really my logo and my name. And I can do that just by opening up the file and then selecting to copy and paste. And then what I want to do is just make sure that it's the right size, that I'm happy where it's all sitting. Happy with my colors. Before I come through and send it to my machine ready for stitching. So this is my Horizon Link software, which just has USB capabilities or Wi-Fi capabilities with my machine, and I'm going to come through, send that to the machine, and then I will be ready to stitch. So let's come through and get our fabrics ready. And here are my fabrics. You can see I've got purple cork, and it's really just scraps. You can see some of them are a little bit, I've got a couple of flecks on them, but as per any pouch, I've got the zipper side with the, and the lining with the edge turned over. I've got my back and I've got my back pocket. So the back pocket is an additional piece that we are adding on, and all I've done is taken a piece of cork and folded it 3/4 or 1/3 of the way down so that I can use that. The other additional piece that we're going to use is a piece of vinyl, clear vinyl at the front, and I've trimmed that with the same cork, and we'll be adding that onto our project as well, and that's about half the size of the pouch altogether. So it's the same width, and if I'm looking at a 140 pouch, this would be about 70 mil, but it's whatever works for you. And all I've done is folded over a piece of 1-inch cork and stitched that down. I've also got my zipper, and I'm using a purple zipper with a iridescent rainbow sewing machine zip, and I am ready to stitch. So I'm just going to prepare my machine here, and I've got my 9 by 9 inch hoop, which is 230 by 230, because I needed it to go to that 200 millimeter. If I'd done the 180 size, I would have been able to use my smaller hoop. And as always, colorway 1 is going to stitch out and show us exactly what the outline of the pouch is going to be, and it's also going to show us exactly where the zipper will be placed. Now, as you can see on the screen here, I want you to have a look on the right hand side, and you will see that we have all of the parts for our bag, and then we've got the stitching for our logo. And that's exactly like if you put two designs together on your machine. And that becomes important because it is going to allow us to see or to move around the design as we create it. So this is the end of colorway 1 now. And I've got my zipper. I'm going to lay my zipper over that outline and stitch colorway 2, which is going to stitch at the top of the zipper. And then colorway 3 is going to stitch the bottom of the zipper. Now at each point here, I'm making sure that that beautiful sewing machine zipper tab is out of the way. And that's important because it will ruin the needle and possibly the timing of your machine if you stitch over that. And now I'm going to come through and I've got my piece of cork folded over. I'm going to lay that over that outline and stitch colorway 4 to hold that down. Now this is where we get interesting, because before I put the back lining on, which will be colorway 5, I want to actually come through and I'm going to skip down a couple of colors. So we need to have in our mind that colorway 5 is where we need to go back to, but we first of all need to stitch our logo on. Now your logo might be I love stitching, it can be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be your name. I have my name on mine because it really does just save me having a sort of extra business cards on me. But I'm going to stitch my entire logo out in metallic silver thread. So I'm going to load that silver thread onto the machine. And then stitch that entire logo out. And now we're ready to stitch our design. And I have sped this up just a little bit to save you guys any boredom. But I'm actually thinking of making one of these for my sister-in-law, who does help me out on a lot of these shows. And I'm thinking this could be really cool with the love sewing design. So that may be the next one that I do of this. Now metallic threads are always wonderful. What they do have is a habit of jumping in and out of that lever. So I'm just making sure as I work along that everything's fine on that. But you can see exactly how well these threads are stitching themselves. This is, of course, King Star Metallic, which is the only metallic I will use, and it's just because it works so darn well. And I've made my title Stitchologist. I did have, I did give myself a PhD at one point when I did this pouch, but it apparently offended one lady in particular whose child had actually worked for their PhD. So I never want to cause offence. That's not my point in life. And now we've done our stitching, we can come back and remember our magic number was stitch number 5. So we're going to go back in our machine to colour number 5 and continue on our stitching. So colour number 5 is where we put our lining on the machine. So I have to take off my silver thread and obviously go back to my regular thread. And then I'm going to want to take my hoop off the machine and flip it over so that I can add the backing fabric. Now, I've already pressed down the seam on this one and I'm laying it over that outline space. Now you could use painter's tape to hold this down. I prefer holding it down with magnets just because it's painter's tape for some reason always ends up curling up for me. So I'm going to use my magnets to hold that down. And then I want to come through and stitch out that colorway 5, which is going to hold that lining fabric down. Make sure your zipper pull is out of the way, of course. And then just stitch. Okay, so now we've only got 2 more colours to go in which to put everything together. After this colorway 5's done, I always do want to come through and check to make sure that stitching has held the fabric down, because you can always redo it at this point if you need to. But I'll flip that back over because that's all held beautifully. And now we're at the point where we're going to start putting all of our extra pieces on. So, if you remember, we've got 2 extra pieces. We have, first of all, the clear vinyl. And we want to make sure that that's sitting on our pouch and is going to be within that stitched section. And I want to make sure that I can still see my logo there. Then I've got my fabric back pocket. Remember, we folded this piece about 1/3 of the way down. And then finally, I've got my back piece. Now, before I do that, I'm going to come through and take my zipper pull and pull that zipper pull into the middle of the design and make sure that the pull itself is outside of the stitching area. Once I'm happy with all of that, I can stitch out colorway 6, which is going to hold all of those layers together. Now, if you do want to use magnets to hold each individual layer down, that's fine. I was quite happy with mine not moving where it was. And I'm just making sure that those other 2 layers are caught up there in that seam. So as you can see, once you've done the basics, it really is, like once you've done the extra embroidery, it really is an easy pouch to make up. And of course, if you wanted to be a little bit different, think of the pouch that we did last week with the zipper. You could add another zippered section into this if you wished. All totally up to you and what you need to do. Okay, so that is our pouch put together. Now we've got one more colorway, and that is colorway number 7. And colorway number 7 is going to be our back lining. So I'm just going to remove my hoop here and turn the hoop over so that I can lay the lining fabric face down over the design. And you'll see these colors are not matching, but they are from the same collection, so I think that works as the lining. And I'm just going to hold down the sections or the lining fabric, and I want to be inside of the project with my magnets. And then just flip the hoop over, and I will move that magnet a little bit because it's not quite as far inside as I would like. But make sure that your lining fabric is all smooth on the back, and then return the design to the hoop, and let's stitch out colorway 7. And colorway 7 is just going to stitch all around the zip, all around the pouch, leaving a opening in the bottom section, which is where we will pull everything out through. So we come through and do our last set of stitching. As always, when you're up near the zipper, just make sure that that zipper hasn't moved in any way and that you are able to stitch cleanly over that. And we come through, almost finished. And now that our stitching's finished, we can come through and move over to our workbench. And we've finished our stitching, so now we can start putting the project together. And first thing I'm going to do is remove my magnets, and then just take the project out of the hoop, and I can get rid of my hoop there. So remove all of our excess stabilizer, and just come around and drag it off. There will of course be those couple of stitches up the top from where we did our first colorway showing where we were going to place everything, so those stitches will need to be removed, and they'll just come away with the stabilizer. So just trim on either end of those, and then we'll get rid of the rest of the stabilizer. Okay, so with a pair of sharp scissors, we are now going to come through, and we want to trim around the project, leaving the area where we're going to pull through with extra fabric. So don't trim that part. And you want to trim about 1/4 of an inch. Little more, little less isn't going to be a huge thing. What you don't want is a mass of fabric on the inside. You also don't want so little that you cannot or that the fabric rips out. I've seen people who've left such a tiny amount that when they've turned it out, their cork has just not held the stitches up. So now we are going to get rid of all the fabrics bar the lining fabrics down the bottom here. So that gets rid of the bulk of our fabrics in the project. And now we're going to do the tough stuff, which is turning that project right side out. Oh, sorry, wrong side out. And it really is just take your time. I find if I crumple the cork, it does make it that little bit easier to come through, but it really is just taking your time and working with the project. And the stiffer the fabric, the more difficult, of course, that this step is going to be. Okay, nearly there. And do take the time to actually pull these corners out properly, because by doing that now, you're going to end up with a much better look at the end when you do turn it right sides out. Okay, so we can now remove that excess stabilizer from around the zipper. And we can come through and press our project. Just helping everything to sit flat. Okay, now you can hand stitch this opening closed, or you can do what I'm about to do and use the double-sided no heat basting tape. That is really up to you, whichever way you choose. And you can see all I do here is come through, and I'm going to place my basting tape just along that opening. And then you need to press it down and allow the gluey side to come through. Okay, you can just see, no, almost got it. And there we go. So that glue side's come through. I'm going to fold that down and align it with the other side of the fabric. Now, whilst it's called no heat basting tape, once you do apply heat, it gives it an even better hold. So that is now finished, and what we're going to do is come through, open up the zipper and turn the pouch right sides out. Now you need to make sure when you do that all of the pieces are on the correct side. So for instance, the clear vinyl should be at the front, but the cork pocket should be at the back. And then just take the time to pull those corners out correctly. And then our pouch is nearly done. Okay, so I've got my stitching there. You can see my pocket. Everything's enclosed. I'm loving how the zipper is looking there, and the clear pocket at the front. I'm just going to remove some of the extra threads that I can see there. I've got plenty of room for everything that I need. So now it's all about putting the hardware on to finish this one off. Okay, so now we can start working on the hardware for our straps and to attach those to our pouch. And what I've got here is some webbing, and it's a beautiful soft webbing, so it's not going to hurt my neck. I've also got side anchor straps in silver, and I've got the key fob hardware that will go on the strap. Now, the one thing that I don't sell that I am going to use though is also this Lobster Clasp. Now, I got a bunch of these at Bunnings a couple of years ago, and I just keep on using them up. I have noticed that the local $2 shops have been selling these lately as well. So the first thing that I'm going to do is come through and place the side anchor straps on. Now you can see I've just popped the side anchor strap onto the bag itself, but it's in no way secure, and that's because the side anchor straps come with 4 screws that go into this project. And I can just see that this screwdriver is going to cause me a little bit of hassle here, just because it's not quite large enough. So give me a second, and I'm going to come over and grab from my husband's stash of screwdrivers this screwdriver head. And what you want to do, it's the screw that holds everything together, so you really do need to push that screw through the fabric. And we'll get the second side anchor screw on there as well before working on the other side. Now, if your side anchor strap is having trouble getting over the bulk of your fabrics, you can actually just use a pair of pliers to open up the space that the side anchor straps have available. And you can see how much fun this one is getting that little bit in there on the side. But, so my side anchor straps are now on, and I think that just looks really elegant as a way to go. Now I'm going to take my webbing, and I want to measure it around myself to see where I want the pouch to sit. Now, generally speaking, I select about boob height, but whatever is comfortable for you. And you can even make these adjustable if you wish as well, of course. And I've got a pair of pliers that are 1 inch wide specifically for this project. You can use any pliers. The only thing I do recommend, mine are rubber tipped, and just wrap a tea towel around them if you don't have rubber tipped ones, so that you don't hurt the hardware. And I'm just going to come through and use those pliers, and I got mine on eBay for those who are wondering. To attach the key fob. And then we'll do the other end. And it's all nice and ready to go. Okay, so now I'm going to take my lobster clasps and feed those on to the key fob hardware. And then it's a simple case of clicking that lobster clasp onto the key fob. Clicking the side anchor strap onto the key fob. Okay, so what do we think? Isn't that a fantastic pouch? And how simple is it to create? I love doing this one so much that I actually made a second one this week, and you can see on this one I've used the Love Sewing design. And I'm actually going to take it as a mini handbag on a cruise that I'm about to go on, so that I can cart my phone and all the paraphernalia that I need through the day, just like, you know, a hanky and my room pass and everyone else's room passes while they're off doing fun things, of course, in one place. So I hope you've enjoyed this project. Stick around with us for more fantastic ways to use your You Do You designs. And until next time, have a stitching day. Bye.